Ex-Phemistic, a pragmatic approach. In a previous video, I talked about the difference between the nouns euphemism, dysphemism, and orthophemism, and the adjectives euphemistic and dysphemistic. The nouns were defining in terms of semantics, whereas the adjectives were defining in terms of pragmatics. So a usage or pragmatic-based approach looks at an utterance of a term. We define an utterance of a term as euphemistic or dysphemistic, depending on how it's used in context. With a pragmatic approach, words themselves are not euphemistic or dysphemistic, only uses of words. So it depends on the context. Is the use of the term polite or offensive? So we're defining dysphemistic as a description of an utterance that is offensive in comparison to an alternative expression. So in other words, it's always comparative. It's always looking at the choices that we make when we say that something is dysphemistic or euphemistic. And a euphemistic expression would be one whose it would be the description of an utterance that is polite in comparison to an alternative expression. Now, when we talk about politeness, we need to understand that this is a technical term for linguists. We should not conflate it with formality. So a polite speech act preserves the hearer's face, independent of whether this is a formal situation or an informal situation. And an impolite, that is, offensive speech act threatens the hearer's face. And so when we're talking about face, we have to understand that this is, again, a technical term. This is a person's public image of himself or herself. And there's two types of face. There's the desire to be liked, and there's the desire to be independent. So, for example, if we swear at a person, say invectively, so we say, fuck you, or eat shit and die. Well, that's going to threaten a person's positive face because you are, in effect, saying, I don't like you. Whereas negative face is our desire to be independent. And this one, I think, is a little more difficult to understand why taboo words are seen as being so impolite. And what I think it comes down to is that taboo words threaten a person's independence, their desire to not have these words imposed upon them. I kind of equate it to the way that I don't really want to see another person's feces, right? So when I go into a bathroom, I hope that they flush the toilet because I don't want to, be exposed to it. In the same way, we don't want to be exposed to certain words that draw to mind things that we don't like, that are unpleasant to us. So when somebody says shit, then that's also threatening my negative face, my desire not to be exposed to that. So somebody, for example, not having the politeness to shut the door when they're taking a crap, I consider that to be impolite, offensive, because it's threatening my negative face. Also, by this definition, these definitions of euphemistic and dysphemistic, it doesn't mean that it needs to be a euphemism to be euphemistic or a dysphemism to be dysphemistic. At a business meal, a euphemism would be the polite choice, hence it's euphemistic. With a friend, it might actually be weird to use a euphemism. And in that case, the dysphemism might be the polite choice, hence the dysphemism is actually euphemistic. We can even imagine situations in which using an orthophemism is downright rude, in which case it's dysphemistic.